listening to One, a podcast about education, teaching, and learning.
Hi.
Hello!
I beat you.
You did, you beat me.
Hello.
Hi and welcome.
Welcome.
We're going into your final week of school.
By the time this comes out, I'll have one more day.
Yeah.
Well, that day and one more day.
The penultimate
You
day.
know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. We've almost made
Woo!
it. Yep. Ready to settle into that summer vacay.
Last episode of May.
Mm-hmm.
Last episode of the regular school year for some
you.
of us here in Ohio.
Yeah.
If you're one of those southern schools that goes till June, tots and pears.
Cool. Well,
welcome.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the final stretch? Are you ready to cross the finish line? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a year.
Yeah.
Somehow differently difficult, yet just as taxing as the 2020-2021 school
the
year.
panini year. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like people are trying to settle into a routine of the new normal of living with a kind of endemic, you know?
Yep.
But growing pain's still happening for sure.
Yep.
I've been reading a lot about how there's just widespread disinterest from students in doing work right now. This was about higher ed.
Really? You don't say.
This is an article about higher ed college.
Hold on. You read an article about this?
I did.
And you could have just asked me.
I read an article to tell me what I already knew from you. This was an article about college professors talking about lack of student interest in doing work and turning in grades. And
You know, I have a hard time. Never mind. I'm not going to say.
you were going to rant.
Anyways.
But yeah, it seems like you're not the only one who might be dealing with some lack of motivation.
And that's an interesting comparison because those are students who have chosen to go to college.
Right.
So that's an interesting...
The kids who want to be there to learn. They were saying stuff like only like a third of their classes were showing up to any one day of actual attendance. Only about a third of people would actually show up to class.
See, I went to too small of a college for that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, if only a third of my college classes would have shown up, that would have been like 3 people sometimes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they were very small classes.
I think maybe my biggest class was like 30 people.
My smallest class in college was like 10 people. But most
my
classes,
smallest was like 5.
Yeah. None of my classes went over probably like 25 people in college.
Yeah, I think 30 was probably like those intro, you know what I mean?
But that's what I was thinking. Like if
the
more
100
people,
level.
Yeah. Those could get, I didn't have any of those in undergrad, but in grad school I did. But I just was thinking about how that just gets painfully thin if only that many people are showing up. But I just don't know how.
Hey,
but anyway, the whole point of that,
who's there to work? I guess that would be one reassuring piece of it is you can look at them and be like, okay, respect.
Yeah. Well,
whereas my kids, I'm like, you're court ordered to be here.
I mean, yeah. Although they were saying that like even when the kids did show up, nobody wanted to participate in class conversations. Like people are just burnt out across the board right now. I think that's true in the professional world as well. This is not something unique to only education, but yeah.
Okay, so this week.
Yes, moving on from our across-the-board exhaustion with existing. This week we are talking about...
Book It.
One
of our favorite things.
You picked this.
That we speak of fondly.
Yeah, this is a good... we wanted to go with something kind of easy and nostalgia-y, and this is a childhood throwback. It's something that definitely motivated us as young learners.
Who isn't motivated by pizza?
Yeah, this is actually kind of fun to go to cover because this was the thing that I benefited from this program, Book It. Why don't you just give us the 50-cent explainer of what Book It is? So
Book It. Pizza Hut has sponsored the Book It reading incentive program since it started in January of 1985.
Oh, wow.
So
it's been around for a while then.
It has been longer than I thought it was.
Well, it's kind of funny because when you and I were researching, we went to their website and we discovered that it looks
the same. It's so good.
Like the branding, the stickers, it all looks like kind of like 80s throwback retro
beautiful
branding for this program. And that's how it looked when we were growing up, basically like little rainbow book stickers. Anyway, so the Book It program.
So it was for students to, teachers basically set goals in their classroom. And in the months from October to March, you could be awarded a Pizza Hut certificate that was good for a free one-topping personal pan pizza.
Yes. The cute those tiny little pizzas that are basically perfect serving size for a child.
For a child, yeah. So this project was conceived in 1984 during a dinner with the then president of Pizza Hut, Art Gunther, and Bud Gates, the SVP of marketing at Pizza Hut. And it was thought of as a way to help the president's son read more.
Oh, that's cute.
And so it is the largest and longest running corporate supported reading program. And it currently reaches more than 14 million students and more than 37,000 pre-K through 6th grade schools annually. And they claim to have impacted 1 in 5 readers since 1984.
Okay. Interesting. Now, so you and I both remembered having Book It goals as kids.
Yes.
We probably should just get this one note out of the way at the top. There's like plenty of discussion to be had around whether or not corporate run reading programs are actually better for the people benefiting from them or better for the corporations. We get that. Like, it's definitely a way to drive Pizza Hut. SVP of marketing for Pizza Hut was involved in this conversation. So it's definitely a marketing tool for Pizza Hut. We're not saying it's not, but I think there are some marketing tools that create more community benefit than others, and a literacy program is probably one of those tools.
You know what? This is what I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I really, if this is what keeps Pizza Hut alive,
that's my thing.
Okay.
I'm just like, I never go to Pizza Hut now as an adult, but like as a kid, there's definitely are books that I read that I never would have read if it weren't for Book It.
100%.
Bucket. If it weren't for Bucket.
Go get your pizza down it.
Down
Pizza
at Bucket. Pizza Bucket. No, there are definitely books that I read that I never would have read if it weren't for
100%.
Bucket. So now that we've got that note out of the way, that's definitely like a corporate-driven literacy program.
Yeah.
And comes with weird feelings.
I think, though, at the end of this, you're going to feel okay about it.
Yeah. See,
because I was so pleasantly surprised when I did this research. It made me feel much better about it.
So I guess we should just say that, like, we're aware. We're aware of the fact that a company has decided to use this literacy program alongside its marketing initiatives. That's fine. But we're focusing more on it as a literacy program because
it could be way worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. There could be worse things you could be spending money on as a corporate entity. So let's dive in.
Okay.
That's cute that it was about his son.
Yeah. I love that the president of Pizza Hut was like, I bet if I got my son free pizza from the thing that I'm the president of, he would read. Like as if that was
How do I make
Gunther's,
my son read more? Pizza from my company.
Right. Okay.
Great.
So, most importantly,
I mean, pizza is a big motivator, even for adults still. You get like you have like a startup weekend, things that I've gone to. It's everybody orders pizza. Like that's the incentive. It's still...
Well, it's the easiest way to feed a bunch of people.
Yeah, it's true. And it's just
like...
it's still just like the universal great incentivizer, pizza, just across the board. And so, anyway, pizza gets things done.
Pizza.
It does. I love pizza.
Okay.
Favorite all-time food.
Your motivation is remarkable.
Really good pizza?
Okay.
Oh, I'm so motivated by really good pizza.
Okay. Okay.
Got a pizza oven for that purpose.
You did. We're so motivated that we're now taking it out of Pizza Hut hands and into our own.
We've taken it into our own hands.
And now my literacy program is as follows.
How about if you read a book, I will make you a pizza.
You owe me like 3 pizzas. I've read like 3 books in 2 weeks.
I'll make you pizzas then.
We'll get to it.
Your summer reading program starts now. Ready, go.
Okay. So, what Book It looks like today.
Yes.
Most importantly, it is all free. Mm-hmm. It is geared towards K through 6th grade learners, which is basically ages 4 to 12. Mm-hmm. So that's the target age range here. Okay.
It's a good age range because we got to target when it's most important to instill a love of reading and it's a good time to instill habits of reading. Yeah. Let's just say.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically Book It today has 4 parts.
Okay.
So the first one is called Book It Homeschool, and it's open to homeschool families with pre-K through 6th grade students. Those teachers, or however the homeschooling works, they set the goals, they track the reading, and reward their students all on a digital dashboard, which is on the Book It website.
Ooh, Book It has evolved because it used to be all paper when we were kids.
So then there's also Camp Book It, which is for the same ages, 4 through 12. And it is a reading program created to stop the summer slide. So in June, July, and August, parents can use the digital tools to track and reward their kids, and they still get the free pizza.
Summer slide, just in case you should be familiar with this if you're a listener of 16 to 1,
Yeah,
but in case you're not, that's literacy gains tend to backtrack in the summer. Kids, when they're away from school, some key indicators of academic progress, there tends to be a summer backslide that just happens because you're out of your academic environment as a kid. So that's what the summer slide is.
So the third option is book it at school, which is what you and I experience. And it's what teachers can sign up to use in their classrooms. And so actually right now, based on their website, enrollment is open for next school year. If you want the paper option, which is all of the handouts and stuff that come to you, the paper enrollment does have a limited number of teachers who sign up for it, but the digital program is available to everyone. So if you're a teacher, you're going to be a pre-K through 6th grade teacher next school year for the, 22-23 school year, you can still sign up right now for the paper one, or you can sign up at any time for the online version.
With the paper, I would assume they send you like a packet of materials and stuff.
Yeah.
The tactile, the sort of paper trackers, calendars and stuff that helps kids keep track of their goals in learning. That stuff, the tactile stuff might be more useful for younger learners than the digital ones. I don't know. But I remember feeling
You're
like
talking
I was
about a world of learners that we are nothing
it's
like.
true. I'm like saying it's coming out of my
you
mouth.
You were talking
and
about
I feel
it,
like
what would have worked for you.
Maybe I need to backtrack because that doesn't exist that way anymore. I'm old. Wow.
Yeah.
But no, I was just thinking about, the only reason I'm saying it is because for younger learners is because I just remember the effect that like tactile measure of progress had on my learning. Like I carried that thing around with me, like my book it calendar that I kept track of the books I was reading. I had it on my person.
That's because you're an old person.
I'm an old person. Okay. Well, so whatever tool you use.
Our learners today, much more diverse than you were.
I'm getting owned on my own podcast.
Okay, and so that's like the traditional book it at school. Okay? Yeah. It's available both in paper and digitally for those of you who still have a kindergartner who runs about the age of 32. Okay.
That's me. She's talking about me.
And the last one is called Book It in the Community, and it was formerly called the Literacy Project, and they are partnered with First Book. So this community effort, they serve more than 3,000 communities, and they've impacted more than 22 million people with this. And so Pizza Hut, along with First Book.
Yeah, what's First Book? Tell me about I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, so First Book started in 1992, and they've distributed more than 225 million books and educational resources to programs and schools serving children from low-income communities in all 50 states and parts of Canada. This is from their website, from First Book's website, but they say that they reach an average of 5 million children every year, and they support more than a third of the estimated 1.3 million classrooms and programs where the children are identified as being in need. This network that First Book has is something that educators can join. And First Book does all kinds of work in the communities as far as like summer programs and shelters and health clinics and things like that. But then also First Book helps in this partnership with Pizza Hut allows for schools and teachers to get grants to help make reading materials more affordable for them. So it's kind of like Pizza Hut does a lot of the fundraising for it, but First Book, you know what I mean, works on its own as well.
Interesting.
But this partnership has helped really strengthen it just because of the aid of Pizza Hut being such a huge company still in the United States and the fundraising that they can do. And then First Book identifies the communities who need it most. And so they can help them, get materials
Direct
and access
resources.
to things. And even just community needs as well that are super important, all in places that are identified as needing the direct support. So I was really impressed with that. Book It is kind of stepping out a little bit. Pizza Hut has found a great partner, I think. And so First Book says that they're rooted in diversity, inclusion, and togetherness, and that they aim to apply their expertise to join the fight for racial equity. So that's kind of one other part of it. So this is the Book It in the Community opportunity that Pizza Hut has kind of used Book It to connect with this First Book. And then they work together to help provide resources.
Interesting.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And right now, I just checked the Pizza Hut website just to be sure. You can actually order a Book It bundle.
A Book It bundle.
And it says that order the Book It bundle and get 2 large 3-topping pizzas plus an order of breadsticks, and $1 from every purchase will be donated to First Book to provide access to books and educational resources.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to go to Pizza Hut now.
I think we have to order a Book It bundle.
Book It bundle.
But those are basically like the 4 avenues, I guess we could call it, that Book It sort of... You know what I mean?
So it's not just that one initiative that you and I are familiar with from
It definitely started as that. But since then, obviously,
They've
the needs
expanded.
have become, So there's the summer version, a homeschool version, the regular classroom, like in-person version, and then also their community efforts as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like a full-fledged thing.
Yeah.
They're really trying.
That's when I got to the community part, I was like, okay, Book It. I see you. That's good work.
Yeah.
I just was going around the Book It website just because I was interested. I don't teach anyone who qualifies for this, but I was still interested. But just some cool things about the website that I found. They do have a teacher sign up for weekly emails for learning opportunities and like connections to books that they're featuring. If you're using the Book It, like if you signed up for especially the paper packets, or also just if you're following along virtually. They also had a way to email parents about ways to support their learners with reading ideas and references. And it was obviously focusing on like some maybe learners who are at home for whatever reason, or obviously
remote learning or homeschooling.
And obviously now the push going into summer too.
Yeah.
There's a support for parents. You can sign up for weekly emails. They had tons of resources for both parents and educators to go with the reading activities and the teacher toolbox, which had really cool coloring pages, I thought. And then it also had like worksheets and things like that you would complete with your reading as you're going through the program. And they had a recommendation list of books to read, and you could sort by age and by topic. So right now, since it's May, they're highlighting Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And then their other reading topics, I was really impressed with these. They had award-winning books, biographies, classics, a section called Just Diversity and Inclusion, a section called Family and Friends, a fantasy and science fiction section. And then their other sections were fiction, First Book, which is that partnership I just talked about, a section for LGBTQ+, nonfiction, reference, social and emotional, sports and recreation, and STEM.
Wow.
So you could really go in based on whatever your learner's age or a level that's appropriate for them and find all kinds of great books there that you might not have otherwise.
Well, that's really neat.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool that I think it's awesome that Pizza Hut has allowed themselves to do this kind of work and be so inclusive. And I think it's important that if this is something that is reaching millions of children every single year, that they're all represented. So I was happy with their offerings. I mean, I didn't do a deep dive, of course, because this is not at all appropriate for my sweet
For your age
for my sweet little learners. But
your 10th graders.
Yeah, but I could totally see this being something that I'm telling, our friends with kids and things like that about as a way to
I mean, honestly, I feel like I need a program like this. I mean, you and I have been talking about this. We've been kind of on a better reading kick recently, but it's hard as an adult to find I mean, it's hard to carve out time when you have a million things competing for your attention. It's difficult to get in the habit of reading. I mean, we've talked about this. It's nice for when adults have a commute, if you happen to be able to listen to audiobooks, it's a great time. But like, if you don't have a set aside time daily where you're like, okay, this is what I'm reading, it's very easy to just drift away from the habit of reading. And I feel like my brain works better and I'm more engaged. I'm able to focus better when I'm active, like just when I'm reading books, when I'm putting in that mental effort of concentration, of doing it for like a dedicated amount of time. I feel like I can think more clearly, and it could be a combination of things, but I do feel like reading as a habit forms a big part of the way
for
that
sure.
I feel when I feel like my brain's working the best it can. So it's just it's interesting to think about. I feel like maybe we should talk to Pizza Hut and sponsor an adult Book It program. Send adults like some.
I don't think they can afford pizza that aren't personal pans.
No. I feel like I need I feel like we need to adjust it to kind of offer like an adult sized reward of some sort, reward system, incentive system. But yeah, no, just being in the habit of reading is a really great thing to expose kids to.
Well, and just modeling it, even if you're a teacher or if you're raising a young person, like it's important. I remember every day going downstairs because I was on my dad's schedule, and seeing him read the morning paper every single day.
Yeah.
That's what he did. Like that was something that was modeled to me. So that was a time where we read. I think it's important. So I wanted to include really quickly Bookit's partners that are featured on their website. I'm really impressed by this. I'm not kidding.
You're a fan.
I really am. So they had, these are like their biggest partners, obviously. They're partnered with Abrams, which was the first company in the U.S. to specialize in publishing art and illustrated books. They're partnered with Candlewick Press, and they've obviously published outstanding children's books for readers of all ages. I think probably most of us have heard of them. They're partnered with Every Child is a Reader, which is a 501c3 nonprofit that creates and supports programs that strive to make the reading and enjoyment of children's books an essential part of daily life.
Every child a reader. That sounds vaguely
Every
familiar.
Child a Reader, yeah. We've definitely talked about that.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
They're partnered with HarperCollins Children's Books, which is another huge publisher.
Yeah.
They're partnered with the Library of Congress, and the Library of Congress does their National Book Festival, and they do the libraryread.gov website, and they do the library's Young Readers Center. So all of those come with that. And then the last one, Lucasfilm, is a partner, and that's obviously the home of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. It was acquired by the Disney company, but
you're just like Star Wars.
Anyways, I don't care about the rest.
You just care about the Star Wars part.
But that's another partner of theirs.
Interesting.
So they've got some big support. I mean, this is not some small initiative that they're running, which is probably how they've reached
1 in 5 readers in the
actually
US.
millions of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to take us through the criticisms?
Oh, sure. I mean,
Which we include basically because we know it's part of telling a well-rounded story, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think we can be fans of the program and also realize that, like we talked about earlier, I mean, the big criticism is that it can get a little hard to sort out corporate profit incentivizing from reading incentivizing in scenarios like this. It's just some psychologists are taking a little bit of a qualm with this, mostly because it does come out of a corporate partnership. So they're like, not sure that this sort of over justification of reading might cause kids to not be intrinsically motivated to read. I'm like, okay, well, how are you going to develop an intrinsic motivation without
not at that age. At that age,
like 4-year-old.
Your motivation is pizza.
Yeah, pizza is your motivation. When you're
like
4.
I
get it.
Sorry, you and I even can say we know that reading is good for us, but we don't do it as much as we should.
Yes,
and
for
we're
sure.
grown adults.
Yeah,
like of course a child needs a little boost.
If I were incentivized by a personal pan pizza, I might read more.
I would only read. I would do nothing else. I would quit everything. I'd quit the podcast.
Yeah, just to read for pizza.
Sorry, I have kind of a problem with some of these criticisms.
We'll read for pizza. Okay, so there's another one.
Let's make that t-shirt.
We'll read for pizza. It was also, the Book It program was also criticized by the Campaign for a Commercial-Free Childhood in 2007. Okay, so I get this. Again, they describe Book It as one of corporate America's most insidious school-based brand promotions.
That's just... Insidious is a really strong word for Book It. I'm sorry.
I mean, you gotta be all in on a lot of ill will here. So anyway, they produced this pamphlet. They argue that the program promotes junk food to a captive market, makes teachers promoters for Pizza Hut, and undermines parents by making visits to the chain an integral part of bringing up their children to be literate.
Okay. I mean, I'm willing to accept that I know that pizza is not the healthiest option.
Okay.
That I'm fine with.
Yeah.
The rest, it's a little difficult for me to stomach.
I will say that I very much remember striving to make the reading goals for Book It. I don't nearly as often remember actually cashing in on the rewards. So like,
no,
we would fill out the things. We put the stickers on the little book reading calendars, and then we'd be like, oh, guess we got to get into Pizza Hut sometime for this reward. And then we may or may not go to Pizza Hut.
I mean, I do remember some
really
visits
about
that were very
goals.
intentional.
Oh, sure.
To do the reward, but I'm with you. I'm
definitely
sure we
did
didn't
too.
go as often as I got a reward.
My parents did a really good job of incentivizing me without overly going to Pizza Hut for junk food all the time. You know, a little junk food pizza reward every once in a while. Not the end of the world. It was really about the reading. It really was.
This take is one of privilege.
Yes.
And that's
also true. Because parents, it's a plus to be able to take your kids for free pizza at Pizza Hut.
What a blessing for
scenario.
some families.
Yeah,
to get
absolutely.
3 kids to have a free meal.
Yeah.
So I can understand that I'm not suggesting that pizza is my favorite diet, but I realize it's not the healthiest diet.
It is my favorite diet.
I get that from my mom. She is a pizza junkie.
She loves pizza. It's true.
She loves pizza in a way that if Book It was a thing when my mom was growing up, she would have read every book. There would be no book left.
She would be the most literate.
She would be Matilda.
She would become the Library of Congress. Her brain would have transformed into a
I cannot wait for her to hear this
pizza
part.
Library of Congress matrix.
Well,
that's all that's in there.
For the listeners that know my mom, you're cracking up because you know she loves her pizza. But I'm just suggesting that I do know it's not the healthiest option. But you know what? If we get kids reading, I'd probably feed them anything.
Okay, so there was a study about all of this.
I also love that someone's like, I'm going to research this.
Yeah, I'm going to research this.
We should do a follow-up
It's
study.
worth researching the effectiveness of Book It. Here's what they found. So they talked about, they were looking into reading motivation, right? So they were trying to do the study of the Book It program. They looked at a couple of different age groups. So they said neither being, these people who did this study, they came out and said this, neither being reinforced with money or pizzas increased or decreased the amount college students read nor influence their intrinsic motivation for reading. Okay, so pizza programs, reward programs, not necessarily the most motivating for college students. Answers to direct questions about Book It and parental pay for reading suggest that when a child is extrinsically reinforced for reading, the child will increase the amount read, enjoyment of reading may increase, and if they don't yet know how to read fluently, the programs may help the child to learn to read. These results provide no support for the myth that extrinsic rewards for reading undermine intrinsic interest in reading. Rather, extrinsic rewards for reading set the conditions where intrinsic motivation for reading may develop.
Okay.
I think that sounds right.
I think it's fine.
This is not a program that's going to magically fix a kid who's not interested in reading, but it may provide the conditions for some learners to develop intrinsic motivation to read. I get that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it too. Like, why not increase a chance to become a lifelong reader? It may not work. It may work. It's probably not the most scientifically rigorous literacy program in the world, but
I don't think that's Book It's goal.
But let's just have another opportunity. Like, if you're going to invest corporate earnings in some sort of program, we'd like it to be highly effective. We'd like it to, have a lot of gains, but like creating the conditions where some kids might want to read more, not the worst.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I just think, honestly, there's more happening with Book It than I ever would have guessed. Like, when I chose the topic, I was kind of half joking just because you and I have talked about our love for Book It. Mm-hmm. And then I started researching it and I was like, okay, well, I kind of have to bite my own tongue.
They actually are doing things.
Yeah, like I was not expecting that community. Like, I'm pleasantly surprised.
It does seem like it's more than lip service to literacy programming.
I mean, to keep something like this alive for more than 30 years, that's not easy work.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how much we've talked about what has changed in just years of education. So, you know what? If Pizza Hut has figured that out with a free personal pan pizza, who am I to,
Yeah, I was kind of pleasantly surprised to discover that the program was still around and still impacting so many people. And
so,
yeah,
if you are a pre-K through 6th grade teacher or parent or someone adjacent to that life of a young one who could get them involved with this, especially in the summer, might be a good way to get a pizza.
It is kind of nice because it provides a way to bridge the gap kind of between educators and parents too. It's pretty low effort on the part of educators. You basically you hand out either worksheets or digital trackers now, it sounds like, and kids keep track of their reading and just the number of books or pages or minutes read, and you turn it all in for pizza prize at the end.
I think it's cool.
It's really simple. It's fun. It doesn't involve a whole lot of extra effort, because I think sometimes these programs kind of burden classroom teachers with even more to keep track of, but it's not a lot, and it motivates students and their parents to kind of keep track together of a student's reading. So yeah. I mean, my thoughts are it's fine, it's good, and it definitely benefited me as a kid. So.
Yeah, they could be doing a lot worse with that money and that effort. So
for sure.
So get you on some Book It, and if nothing else, there is a great book list there. I was really impressed by their book list.
Really, I didn't look into the specifics of the list, but it did look looked interesting at first.
I enjoyed it.
Good, cool. Okay, well, any final thoughts about Book It? You're a fan?
I think we just need
to
order that the Book It special, whatever that was.
The Book It special.
I feel like we should probably support.
Well, we might have a trip to Pizza Hut in our future.
I mean, what a better way to do it than to order pizza and support reading.
The Book It.
It was like the
bundle. Book It bundle.
The Book It bundle. Yes, I'd like to order a Book It bundle, please.
Hello, I would like a Book It bundle. Okay. All right. Shall we move on to fill in the blank? Don't forget, we're going to read you last episode's trivia question. We'll give you the answer, and then we'll read this episode's trivia question. If you know the answer, please write in to us. We would love to hear from you. hello@1621.com, all spelled out. It's kind of a mouthful, but we'd love to hear from you. So write in, tell us how you're doing. If you get the answer, we'll send you a sticker. Just write in.
Multiple stickers.
Or multiple stickers. Maybe even.
We will. I promise.
We got some stickers. We have piles of stickers. So.
Okay.
All right.
Last episode's question.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
In 1984, President Reagan announced the Teacher in Space Project, a program aiming to inspire students, honor teachers, and spur interest in math, science, and space exploration. More than 40,000 applications were mailed to interested teachers, with 11,000 teachers completing the application and submitting it to NASA. The program was discontinued in 1990 following the death of its first participant, who was killed in the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster on January 28, 1986.
So sad. Ugh.
This teacher has been memorialized by more than 40 schools around the world now carrying her name. Craters on the moon and Venus are named for her, as are countless education centers, technology conferences, awards, and scholarships. So what was that teacher's name? Krista McAuliffe. And there's a special on Netflix that we watched that was really interesting called Challenger, The Final Flight, for anyone interested in learning about the Challenger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really sad. Mm-hmm. Sad story, but
so
the Challenger incident is a very interesting look into the American space program, the pressures it was experiencing, kind of the context of where we were on the global technological stage at that time, and the pressures that people were experiencing to kind of push through things, even as people were making others aware of the dangers of, the Challenger disaster. Like, kind of what happened to it was, in the end, we sort of found out that it was preventable and that there were people trying to sound the alarm bells about it.
Which they didn't, yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of pressures that led to it kind of not being given the amount of attention that it should have been given.
The show is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because it didn't have to happen that way.
Yeah, it really didn't.
And that's what's so frustrating.
Yep.
So her story is one worth telling.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah. All right. This episode's question. U.S. publishers sold 825.7 million print books in 2021. Up
That's so great.
8.9% over the previous year.
I love that.
8.9% print books. Some print bestsellers owed their success to digital influences. Print sales gains of 30.7% in this category were stimulated by activity on Book Talk, a community of TikTok users who post about books, Publishers Weekly reported. So what's the genre that was up? Print sales were up over 30.7%. So over 30%. Yeah. What genre?
That's huge.
And it's probably kind of obvious what this genre is going to be, just because if you think about what's going on TikTok.
But it is a genre that I have persuaded you into.
Yeah. It's for sure. It's true.
Okay. We can talk more about this next episode.
I've given it some thought.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, I just, these jumps, and a lot of it, again, this is very interesting because COVID probably had a lot to do with this. So kids being not in classrooms necessarily, and then just adults being shut in as well. There were just massive gains in sales of books, both print and digital, that were kind of flukes during 2021, and I'm sure numbers for this year are going to be interesting as well. 2020, 2021. So yeah, it's been the publishing community. The effect that COVID has had on it has been
huge, pretty
interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very, very cool to see.
All right, what did you learn?
I'm just going to share a book I'm listening to because since I hacked into my own Libby account with my own library card,
I commandeered Kate's library account for a while. When I wasn't living here yet, and I wanted to have library card access. So
I've been flying through books. It's been all I've been doing. I'm back at a reading phase, which I love because that's exactly what summer is supposed to do. But I got Billie Jean King's book called All In. And if you like audiobooks, this one's really cool because it's Billie Jean who reads it herself. And I know nothing about professional tennis other than just some of the big ones. I also don't know anything about the game of tennis, but I like Billie Jean King.
You're learning all about it.
Listening to her book. I mean, I don't have to, compliment Billie Jean King, but wow, she is special. Like, this story is incredible just about like what her parents went through and what she went through to try to make it in a professional tennis career, like at a time when women were not being you know what I mean? Like, professional women's athletes weren't a thing for her in that time. So just kind of reading about the multiple glass ceilings she had to keep shattering over and over and over again just to survive as a professional athlete.
A pro women's athlete, yeah.
And also just talking about the fight for equality for women and access to things like safe abortions and women's health care and just all the work that she was doing. It's hard to believe that someone her age has been doing it for nearly her whole life and that the landscape hasn't changed that much. So her stories are just amazing. She's funny and she's witty, and it's a great piece.
I don't really know anything about her or tennis.
Yeah.
But that's interesting.
That's kind of, I mean, I knew a lot about her just because of who she is, obviously. But I didn't know, I'm learning a lot about tennis itself. And that's been very interesting. I've learned more about the surface that you play tennis on than I have anything else so far. And I've just...
So many surfaces. Clay, grass, mud.
Yeah, it's been...
hard top.
It's really interesting. But even for someone who isn't tennis-minded, it's been very enjoyable.
Huh. Cool.
Great book.
Interesting.
And definitely the audiobook is awesome.
Okay.
Because I prefer an audiobook when it's read by the person who wrote it.
Yeah,
so
that's always fun.
That's why we enjoyed that Julie Andrews book so much, was because she was the narrator.
For sure.
So, Anyways, what about you?
Well, I have also been reading, go figure. I'm reading a book called The Shallows, What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains.
We're on very different.
Yeah, we are. We're on different. Well, I've been thinking a lot about this recently, not least of which reasons is because Elon Musk is talking about buying Twitter, but I'm not convinced it's going to happen. But the whole kind of thing has...
It seems like no right now.
It seems like no right now, but we'll see. The whole thing is a giant publicity stunt. But anyway, it has made me want to become a more informed... Because there's so many opinions, so many loud opinions flying around on the internet right now about the nature of discourse online and civility and a sort of public forum and whether or not Twitter constitutes that, how it should be regulated, basically how we should treat speech on the internet and thinking. And anyway, I don't have a lot to say about all of that. I feel like I have a lot of half-baked opinions about it, but I wanted to become like a more informed thinker on the way that the internet really is impacting the way that we think and talk to each other. Yeah. So I think there's a lot to be learned there. I have a lot of things that I think to be true, but I'm not necessarily sure that they are true about the way the internet changes the way we think. So I'm doing some research to try to become more informed. But this book is very interesting. The Shallows, What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains. It's by Nicholas Carr. I'm not through it all the way yet. It took me a while to get this whole... I checked it out through the library, which is great. Local public libraries for the win. But it took me a while to get it because this book's kind of in demand. But
is it?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff in it, though. He talks a lot about the medium being the message. Because he's talking a lot about like kind of neuroscience, the way that the internet and the way that we transmit information to each other now, the way that those things change our brain structures, really. He talks a lot about neuroplasticity and the way that... And I'm not sure that I kind of fully grasp the relationship between the physical bits of the brain and the way the mind functions. Like, I'm not really sure of the way those things talk to one another. But what this writer talks about is a lot of interesting things about the way the internet changes our neural structures and changes, like, we kind of become melded to the way the internet works. Like, our brains come to rely on information being readily available at a moment's notice, and it kind of changes the way our brains process information about the world. But anyway, the only thing I'm going to share about it is just this kind of one quote that I thought was pretty interesting. I'll just read it. It's that our focus on a medium's content can blind us to these deep effects. So the deep effects being like the way that the internet changes our brain. We're too busy being dazzled or disturbed by the programming to notice what's going on inside our heads. In the end, we come to pretend that the technology itself doesn't matter. It's how we use it that matters, we tell ourselves. The implication, comforting in its hubris, is that we're in control. The technology is just a tool, inert until we pick it up, and inert again once we set it aside. So this was kind of a reality check for me, because I do have a tendency to talk about the internet as if it were a tool that we can use at our own will, but
it's using us.
Yeah, that's really what the book is getting at, is that the internet is using us. The way that our brains encounter information, it's all changing in ways that we're not necessarily conscious of at the time that it's happening to us. And I think that this book is making me a little more aware I need to be more careful about how I talk about the internet as something that we can just kind of choose to use or not. It's really not that. It's really not the case. Like, the internet has changed us kind of irrevocably, and it's not just this thing that we can put up and put down anymore. It's a thing that is kind of baking itself into our processes of thinking, and we need to kind of be more.
For sure.
We just need to be more aware of that as it's happening to us, and more aware of the ways that it's changing us, and
accept that it is.
Yeah. And not be self-deluded about the extent to which the internet is really changing our brains. So that's what I've been thinking and pondering. That was a mouthful, sorry, but that's what I've got going on in the what I'm learning.
What's the next book on your list? Heading into summer, are you going to go to something, enjoy it? Like, not like you don't enjoy this, but something maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably find something fun to read at the pool.
Do you have anything else on your list right now that's up next that would fit? We're listening to All the Light We Cannot See.
Yeah, we are.
We're not quite halfway through that. But what else do you have?
I've picked up again Palaces for the People. Because I never finished that. I've definitely talked about it on the pod before, but I've just never finished it. So I need to finish that.
Okay.
It's about public libraries and other social infrastructure.
I'm excited for that one as well.
But I will probably pick up some sort of fiction.
Lighter.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do that one next time then.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into Kate Moore, I think, next. The first book I know I've talked about was the Radium Girls, and I just got another one of her books. That'll probably be my next post Billie Jean King and All the Light We Cannot See. So.
Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of fun now that we have like time to talk about what books we're into.
Yeah,
because it's like that time of year again.
I mean, I think I'm definitely going to be reading more. Yeah, by the pool in the summer is a good time for reading goals, but I think I'm going to be reading more about the internet for sure. That's going to be kind of an ongoing project for me, but I'm sure I'll find something fun for the summer.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, teachers, you've almost made it. We're almost there. It's almost summer. Woo, another year.
Another year in the books.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's about it. Enjoy your opportunities for summer reading. Encourage your students to get some reading in over the summer. If you're saying goodbye to your classroom learners soon, we hope you also enjoy yourselves and find some time to take care of yourselves and rest and relax as the summer months approach in the U.S. here. And we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
We'll talk to you in June.
We'll talk to you in June.
Bye.
Bye. Hey listeners, thanks for supporting 16 to 1.
We're trying to grow our audience, so please check us out at 16to1.com, all spelled out, and tell your friends about the show.
On our website, you can find links to follow us on social media, an archive of all our old episodes, and a contact form where you can get in touch.
Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next show. Fortnite Battle Royale.